I'm going to make another tutorial here, and this one is to show you how to make a bed with endcloth sheet and pillows. I'm not going to make you save this file because it's just going to be a working file. Of course, you can save it in case you're worried about losing it. In fact, actually, let's just save it. We'll call it bed. And the reason is because my often will, I'm just going to save it on my desktop, crash with endcloth. But never fear, but we're not going to create a project for it because usually I'll have to do a new project window right there, but let's not do that. So let's make a polygon cube. We'll just make this into the mattress. You can scale in 2 dimensions like that. It doesn't have to be too thick, and then make it a little longer, maybe sort of like a double bed. Okay. You can always delete your preferences, delete by type preferences here. If for some reason you don't see that, you can go up to edit, delete by type history. You can also reset your settings so that you see all these buttons here by going to settings, preferences, and reset your settings to your default settings. Okay. All right. So that's going to be our mattress. Let's create a like a sheet. I put it there in the, it goes in the middle. So the reason you didn't see it is because it was inside. So I press 4 to see it. Before we scale it up, I'm going to have you create some subdivisions in it. So let's look in our channel box. I know sometimes it's hard to find this, but look under inputs, polyplane 1. And I'm happy to do like 100 subdivisions each. So you can do both of those numbers by highlighting them both, or you can just type in 100 in each. And then I'm going to have you scale it up to be, bigger than the mattress, by a little bit. All right, and because they were both created at the XX, the 0, position, I just raised this one up. Should work out. All right, so I'm also going to delete its history. I know that's silly, but endcloth is very buggy, so you can delete your history here. Again, you can also go edit, delete by type history. When you're using special effects, that's good to remember to do. So instead of modeling, you're going to change to the FX mode on the upper left and look for endcloth. And you're going to make this into you're going to use create endcloth to make an endcloth. All right. You may not have enough frames here. Sometimes the default is 120. So go ahead and type in something like 800 here. You can see my maximum is 1500. That's just on my file. Yours may be shorter or longer. Okay, you can see it's starting to try to figure that out here. It's trying to render it. If I just play it, it's just going to fall. Your computer may be faster or slower. And that's because it doesn't have anything to interrupt it. All right, so I'm just cycling through the different backgrounds. It doesn't change anything. I just sometimes like the blue one. So I press Alt-B. Or I forget what it is on a Mac. Anyway, so let's give it something to interrupt it. Again, it's just falling through. So we'll select the box that we made for the mattress, go up to endcloth and create a passive collider. All right, so that's the first option. And now it might take you a minute. It might take your machine a little bit. So be patient. Again, make sure you have enough frames here. So say 800 or 500 or I'm just going to bring mine down to 500 so it's not trying to calculate too much. Press play, and it should interrupt it. It should fall on the mattress, okay? If yours needs more time, you may have to go back to the beginning. Again, you can go back to the start of your playhead by this button here. So these little playheads are nice to move through. Like this one just moves through frame to frame. This one goes back. This one plays. All right? If yours is playing too fast or seems funny, you can always check on your render settings, your timeline settings. I can find mine. You may have a harder time finding yours. Mine is at my lower right side of my software. It's a person. It looks like a person being chased by a gear. If I open that, it opens to my timeline settings, time slider settings. You can also find that if you don't see this button by going to Windows. Where is it? General editors, animation editors, time. Where is it? Maybe it's time editor? Oof, Windows, I can't remember. Oh, it's under settings preferences, that's right. And you go to the time slider. Okay, So 2 places to find it. So now you see you're at 24 frames per second, and you may see here that yours is set to play every frame. That's fine. If you do, it might go really fast or really slow. It depends, but you may want to do 24 times 1. It's up to you. Simulations kind of vary on that one. It doesn't really make much of a difference. Well, it might on mine, I'm not sure. But anyway, so that's how you make the sheet part of it, right? Or the cover, whatever. So say I like it like that, all right? I'm just gonna divorce the sheet, the plane here, from the end cloth, from the nucleus, by going up to Edit, Delete by Type, History, or you can do that here, okay? So you can see that I still have this nucleus here, and let's see if we can still use it when we make a pillow. It might give us a little bit of bugginess, but maybe not. If I move forward in time, I see that my bed and my sheet, I can now move it if I wish. It's not gonna give me trouble, okay? So it's because it's now free of these ideas, all right? So you know what, I'm actually gonna just delete this nucleus and cloth and rigid, because oh, you know what, that's weird. I didn't think that would happen. I thought it was divorced. Well, okay. So I guess we'll keep it. All right, so let's see if we can make a pillow without it going crazy on me. Okay, I'm gonna create a new cube. Again, you might not see it because it's inside. I'm just gonna bring it up, and you can see mine doesn't have any subdivisions, and that's fine. You can change that if you wish. You can go into Create Polygons, and you can check on your settings for your cube. I'm gonna go ahead here and make mine have some subdivisions. Okay, so let's see if we do 100 by 2 by 100. Let's see what that looks like. I'm gonna apply and move it up. So with that one, I think that's probably okay. Let's see what happens when we scale it down. Sometimes these things can be a little weird. So you can see I'm making my pillow shape a little bit like this, and I only have one division going across on the sides because it's going to be fairly thin to start. Okay, so I'll go over that again. I'm just going to get rid of it. So go back up to Create, Polygons, Primitives, Cube. I could reset my settings, and I'm going to have it do 100 by 2 by 100. Okay, create. Let's just bring it up in space. I press W for that. Okay, looks all right. So I'm going to scale it down in the top, the Y. Okay. And let's see how our nucleus reacts. Hopefully we won't have trouble when we create this we create an end cloth here. Okay, so, all right. And maybe we'll make it a little wider, like a pillow. All right, so now let's go up to create end cloth. And before we move it, okay, so it does give us a different, it still has just one nucleus. So let's see what happens when we change that. All right, because we don't want this, this object to fall through space. We want it to be consistent in the way that it is. Okay, so where's our cube? Our cube 2. Let's just bring it back up here. If we go to our attribute editor, it looks like it might give us trouble. We may have to do it in a different scene. I'm just going to look for my nucleus, and once I do, I'm going to turn off the gravity. Okay? Okay, nothing so far has happened. If I press play, anything happen? Okay. Then let's look at the end cloth shape for pressure. And we're going to add a little bit of pressure here. So I'm going to do 0.03. And maybe, let's see, maybe we want to do a little bit more. We can change some of this if we wish. Okay, so let's see what happens when we press play. It kind of pumps up, you see? Okay, let's do that again. We could change some of these. We could say 8.3. We could have it some more stretch resistance, and then press play. I think that's too much. Okay, So let's bring that back down. That's too much too. Ooh, look what I did. 8.3. No wonder it's acting weird, huh? Okay, so press play. I think I gave it too much here. Too much, too much, too much. Okay, so yes, I am doing, what was it? Was it 10 before? And 1. Let's try that. Huh. It's weird how it's acting a little odd. Okay, so you know what? Sometimes this happens. I'm gonna press I'm gonna press escape. Escape, so it'll stop, and I'm gonna delete it. All right, so look back here. I still have my old things, that's fine. Let's make another cube. Let's bring it up in space. Mine still retain the same settings as before, so that's good. I'm just going to squash it down, and I'm also going to make it a little bigger so it's more matches the size of the bed. All right, you can really make it thinner if you wish, so when it pops up, it has kind of a nice quality to it. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to delete its history. I'm going to go up to encloth, create encloth. Okay, let's look at the nucleus and let's see. Okay, gravity's at 0. Okay, so what happens when we press 1? Nothing. So let's take a look at the encloth and the encloth shape, and let's look for the, okay, so that's default is 20 and 10. Let's look for the pressure. Let's do a little bit of pressure. Okay, and then let's see what happens. Not a lot. Should we increase that? Maybe 0.5? It worked so well that first time. Maybe a little bit more. 0.09. What do you think about that? Each of these is going to work a little bit differently, so you are welcome to play around with this. I'm going to do 0.1 and try that. Okay. Maybe let it play for a little longer and see what happens. So play around with that. I'm going to go back to the beginning and have it play again. Not bad. Maybe it's got a little bit too much pressure. So let's bring that back down to say 0.09. So play around with this. See what you like. Maybe I like 1 after all. Ooh, not full 1, but 0.1. And keep playing around with it until you get something that you like. Maybe 0.12. And let's see what we like there. Okay, not bad. Let's see if we can play around a tiny bit with the stretch resistance. I think I maybe did too much before. So, okay, so maybe that's what we want. I don't know. Yeah, play around with that on your own. Sometimes I have better luck than others with these pillows. I'm now going to delete its history. I'm going to go up to Edit, Delete by Type, History. And now you can kind of play around with the shape because it's no longer you know, beholden to the gravity. Okay, you can change it, you can, you know, move it, you can do what you need to. Let's say we want that to be the head of the pillow. Maybe it's not quite big enough. Yeah, and then we can duplicate it. I just pressed Command D to duplicate, and you can have 2 pillows side by side. Okay, oops. Or you can make another one and have a slightly different shape. All right, it's up to you. But then say you want to, you know, we could save this. Say you want to take these objects and move them into the next scene. I'm just going to group them for now. So let's see, I'm going to get the P cube, you can press Control to, or Command to keep selecting things. And then these things, I'm going to select them all. I'm going to group them. Command G for group. And I'm just going to call it bed and pillows. And I'm going to export that. Okay, because I just want to export just that. Let's export selection. We'll call it bed pillows. And I'm going to put this in my furniture file. So I'm going to look under my desktop. Oops. Looking for my desktop in the folder that I gave you all. Just give me a second. Fall. There we go. Tutorials. Furniture. I'm going to put this in my scenes folder. Okay, export selection. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and open up that scene that I was just talking about. Open, and I'm going to look in that same folder in tutorials, in the scenes folder. I'm going to open up the one that I gave you all. We don't need to save that. And here's our room, right? So now let's just make that room a little bigger. All right, I'm just going to scale up the room itself. And maybe I'll make it a little longer and a little longer this way, right? And, you know, we could move it so that maybe it's like a studio apartment. If you press 4, you can kind of see where everything is. Maybe we'll make the living room like over that way and the bedroom over here. And we can make it kind of like I said, a studio apartment. Yeah, that's probably good. Maybe we'll make it a little, give us a little higher ceilings too. Just make sure you bring up the floor to match the height of the rug. Okay, so now we can import that here. We can go up to File, Import, and then I'm going to look. I don't see it here, so that means I didn't set my project properly, but that's okay. Let's go on desktop. I'll just have to find it again. No problem. And here it is, bed and pillow. Let's see if it imports properly. And let's look over here in our outliner. Again, if you don't see your outliner, open it by clicking there. And there's our bed and pillows. Let's just move it over. Hopefully it came over okay. It came over a little funky, but that's okay. We can improve that. We see the pillows. If we click here, we can see the 2 pillows. We can move those back down and move it around. The nice thing about a group is you can kind of spin it. You can kind of play with it. I'm going to just press 4. You can kind of play with it as a group. Like we could look at it from above, and we could try to line it up with the grid so it's not crooked, right? So if you spin it with your grid on, that's helpful. And then, maybe actually we want to spin it so it's like this way. Again, you can line it up with your grid. I'm not going to spend too long with it. And then maybe we want the bed to be over here. It could be kind of against this wall. Okay, so it's not, it's not the best looking bed, and then we need to move it up in space. I'm just going to turn on my lights so I can see. And you could add some legs to the bed, like maybe you could steal actually these legs, these 4 legs, right? We could duplicate those, move them over. Right, and we could kind of play around with where they are just with that. Okay, so pretty easy. You can even do it from above. It might be easiest. So there's our legs, table leg 1. You can also scale these up. Scale them. We'll just scale them in that range. So you can then table leg 1. You can make it. You could rename them, but you can just place these in the position that makes sense for them, right, in terms of the bed. Again, I'm not going to spend terribly long on this. You can also just move them around like that. Okay, so now you see it's got like some legs. Make sure that they aren't penetrating the floor. We could move the legs into this group, and then we could just kind of move all of it up a little bit. So, okay, so it's a little bit like a modernist platform bed. Let's take a look at what this would look like. I think the house needs some more furniture in it, obviously, but this is a start. Let's see what that looks like. You can turn on your render gate, and you can keep moving around. And then you can render it and see what you think. Obviously, it needs some light over there, so we could borrow some of these lights. We could duplicate that light, move it over. We could see if that's enough, or we can also borrow some of these lights, and we can move those over. make sure they're in the right position, and see what we think. Okay, so play around with that. Maybe this one needs to come over here. You can also strengthen the quality of these lights if you wish. You can look at them in the attribute editor and change their settings there. So let's see what we see there, and maybe a little bit out. Let's see what that looks like. A little better. Again, I have to zoom out a bit here. You can always play around with the intensity of those lights. I'm going to stop that render there. You could play with those area lights. You could say, okay, which one is that one? That's the one right above there. You could say, what if we added a color to that one, and we brought up the intensity. So, and then re-render. We get a pink light. Pretty fun. So play around with that. I'm going to stop that again. I'm going to bring that intensity of that pink down. You can keep a little bit of it. And then you can also add some colors to the room, the walls. So say we want something just on that wall. Let's add a new material. Add new material. I'm going to add an Arnold shader. So see where it says Arnold there. Click on shader, AI standard. Just know you can turn down the specularity here. You see this little ball? It has a reflective thing there. If you turn that down, it's matte. And we could add a, you know, let's add a checkerboard. What the heck? So we'll add, I just clicked on this thing there, and we'll add a checker. And you can play around with make one of them pink, one of them white. I don't see it here yet because I only have 5 on my keyboard. If I press 6, you know, sometimes it doesn't always show, but let's see what happens when we render it. Then we have this checkerboard. All right, you can change the way that checkerboard is arranged. Let's see, let's take a look here. And you can say, okay, look in here. This is where the checkerboard is applied. You can look here and you can say, I want this to repeat, say 10 times on each side. Okay, and then let's re-render it. And there you go. Okay, so that's it. Hope you enjoy it. See you later.